Internet's working, hopefully. I love live demonstrations because they never work. So now we're going to do a live demonstration. Yay! I'd like to thank my lovely assistant Brad for, go on. What Brad's going to do is, in the background, try and migrate a 1.0 site, e.g. it's one we set up this morning. Yes, try and or do, preferably do. And set us up with a new 1.5 site. And we can see our internet's going incredibly fast. And we've already uploaded Joomla 1.5. So this morning we saw that we can very easily install Joomla 1.0 using Fantastico. And the 1.5 support isn't here yet for Fantastico, but it will be here shortly. So what you have to do is go into Fantastico, cPanel, and set up your database. So this isn't too much harder, as Brad will demonstrate. And that'll get you up and running. So we've heard some of the new features we've added to 1.5, and I'm not really sure what I'm supposed to actually say here. Because we've covered stuff like the template overrides. We've also covered a bit of the new component structure. For those of us who are actually working in an enterprise environment, Joomla 1.0 adds a few more features for enterprises, such as LDAP integration for Active Directory. So that, for us, is also a SharePoint killer again. I don't like SharePoint. And how's my database going? We have a database? We have issues? Awesome. So 1.5 is what we've just released. We've spent about 2 years working on it, and anything is pretty slick. Well, English. Yeah.
Just seeing if you're paying attention.
English is good. Anyone here who doesn't speak English? No, everyone speaks English. Awesome. So let's do this all in English. So we've got to fill in a few more fields here. We've got to whack in our database again. We've got to put in the username that we just created and our password. Let's make a password today, Brad.
This one is demo.
Brad has a talent for creating really strange-looking passwords, which I probably forget. So click through. Actually, Brad, this is one of the new things we've added in 1.5. This is called FTP configuration. So who here runs Joomla on a shared hosting environment? Who here hates the fact that you have to go through and change the permissions on the files you just uploaded?
Don't need to.
Well,
running Apache and CGI, but we'll get to that.
CGI has other issues, but we'll talk about that later. FTP configuration allows you to put in your username and details. Joomla tries to log into your host via FTP and do all of its operations. Again, this is the first release we put it in, so we are expecting 1 or 2 minor niggly bugs here and there. But we think we've tested it pretty cool. We can't test it now, can we? Because you've got it set up properly. Yeah, he's got it set up properly.
But it does work though.
It does work. It does allow. We promise. If it breaks, submit a bug. If it breaks and you know how to fix it, submit a patch.
Sam, correct me wrong, it's mainly dealing with the ownership permission.
Yes, yeah. So basically, because you've uploaded everything as yourself, Joomla has issues when Apache tries to write. So what we use is the FTP layer, which then handles all of the writes. So it logs in as you, and then does all of the stuff via FTP, instead of using Apache to do everything.
Nearly there?
Oh, you did the sample. Oh, Brad. Anyway, that means we can do reinstall.
You want to dump it?
You want to dump it? So that would have given us, actually, Brad, just show the people our, oh, we're going to have to delete that directory. Yes, deletion directory. Okay, at this point here, we've got a brand new, ready to run 1.5 site. As with 1.0, yep. As with 1.0, you're going to have to delete your installation directory, so that still hasn't changed. What we're going to do now These show you how easy it is to kill a 1.5 site. Any website. Or any website for that matter. So here's the back end of our site. If you've noticed, we've got a new thing called plugins. For those of you who have used 1.0, manbots are now called plugins. The rest of them are more or less the same. Yep. There goes my
plugins do.
Extension is our term we use for plugins, components, plugins, modules, templates, languages, libraries, and packages.
I should start this installation again, shouldn't I, Sam?
Yes, if you just hit enter, if you click on the little go sign in Firefox, it should restart the install for you. No, not a refresh, so fine. The little, yep. I love Joomla. I'm actually going to take over here because we're going to try to do something else live. Because we know this always works, and zoom glasses. So I'm not blind. Oh yeah, that was blind. So we have our Joomla 1.0 site. And everyone thinks it looks cool, right? But we want to upgrade it to Joomla 1.5. So we download the migrator. Come on, you can do it. While we're waiting for that to happen, let's go to administrator. So what was the password? Pass, okay, cool. That was easy. It's almost as good as demo. So we have my projects and we have a whole bunch of useless stuff that I write. We also have something useful that I write. So doesn't that look pretty? So we'll just wait for that to download. There it is. It's on my desktop. Somebody's going to come to this computer and wonder what we did to it. So downloading is pretty easy, installing is pretty easy. Am I going too fast for anyone?
Where did you get the migrator from again?
This place. If you have a look on the Joomla.org, I'll go there shortly. So, if you have a look at Joomla.org, on the front page, down at the bottom a bit after the Joomladay Melbourne announcement, we if you have a look about here, where it's red, we just wait for the Firefox to catch up. There we go. See? We have our announcement 1.5. And here, we have installation instruction, migration instructions. And the bottom, if you click on that, and wait for a while, so go to our doc site, it has links to the migrator, and it also has a bit of a guide on basically what I'm doing now. So you can also read that as well, because it has really big warnings saying back up your site first, which is what we're not doing here, because we don't have anything to back up. So there's a bit of a guide here, and down the bottom here, we have our FRS site. So there's a link there, and a direct link to download. So you can just click that, or just go direct to the URL. You can remember it. So we've updated our migrator component, and we've got a funky new migrator thing. Now, if you're a third-party developer, read this. If you're a user who has talked to a third-party developer who has read this, you can click on this to install ETL plugins from them. If you want to test that they actually install correctly, you click on this. Once we've made a migration file, you can download it here. If for some reason something goes wrong halfway through a migration and it's died, you can click this, and this will basically delete all of the pending tasks for the migrator. And last but not least, we can create a migration file. So by default, we have a few migration plugins. Basically, these are the migration plugins for all of the core system. So you'll see there's users, there's templates, there's modules, and content. Content being very important. And we can also untick one of these. So in some cases, backlink migration is known to cause an issue. So we can untick that. With advanced SEF, I think there's an issue. So we can untick and tick these if we only want parts of our site to be migrated. So let's just start our migration. I hope that's great. And it goes really fastly.
Sam,
Yes?
what is backlink migration?
I'm glad you asked that question. Backlink migration is really cool. So cool that I'm going to write a blog post about it. Backlink migration basically enables old school SEF to function. It also is, if you have a third-party SEF that doesn't break the backlink migration component, e.g. not advanced SEF, you can basically build a list of every single menu item you have, and it will take a copy of that across into your new Joomla 1.5 site. So we'll just download this, because this is fun. And I'll show you in 1.5 what backlink migration does. It also, that was quick. Yeah. Let's go back. It also provides the ability to rewrite URLs as well. So when you move to 1.5, what you'll notice is we fixed SEF. And I'll enable SEF shortly to show you what I mean. And if I can remember what the password is. Where's my system going? My system talked away. Yay, I have the system yet. So I'll talk about SEF and Brad will do an install and show you how easy it is. Backlink SEF means that for all of your menu links, we have a copy of what they will look like in 1.0 in 1.5. So 1.0 we changed SEF and we also changed the way content behaves. So content in 1.5 generates new looking links. So anyone who's been around for a while and has a Google index of your site will notice pretty quickly that those links are going to break in 1.5. So don't put that in first, which you don't need to. You need to put it after you do the load migration. So we have a few options if we want to do migration. The old table prefix is always JOS, J-O-S. The reason it's the side by side. So if you click on the fourth tab,
if your Joomla installation is like in the root directory,
we suggest
what happens?
you create a new directory with something like dev or something like that, with the Joomla, a new 1.5 instance in it.
Okay, so it's not an in-place upgrade.
No, it's not an in-place upgrade.
And also, will the migration do a 1.0 migration to a different server, to a 1.5 on a different server?
Yeah, it exports a SQL file that's more or less pretty much close to a 1.5 file. There are a few things that have to be changed with the menus that we find is really easy to do with the database, because it also has a record of all of the other core components, because they've been recording a few things.
And when there are multiple users using a site,
Yep.
are there multiple installs of Joomla, or is there one install of Joomla in the database is
No, there are two databases. Did it break? No, actually you don't need to put your email name in. You need the site name because that's in the configuration file and you can't migrate that.
Sam would know, he wrote all this.
You can just hit next now and it should work. And it goes red for some reason, but anyway. So we've noticed that you've got migrated content, so if you log in. To quickly answer the question, we recommend you install in a new database, or at least with a new prefix, and
Delete the installation.
yes. And install it in a new folder. We changed so much with 1.5 that the file structure in some places doesn't even look the same. So install it into a new folder and a new database, because that's what we've tested on. Same database, same folder will cause you headaches because you'll have to delete stuff. And if something goes wrong,
That's it.
if something goes wrong, you'll still have your old site sitting there running and working for you. Okay.
So Sam,
Yes.
so then if you put it in a new directory, presumably later you're going to want to migrate back. Is that the easy?
Yeah. In your configuration of PHP file, there are two lines. One line is the cache path, and there's another line which is the temporary directory path. Those will be set to that new directory that you created for the install, but beyond that, you can move the site around. If you're in an environment where you've got a bit more control, what I suggest doing is using Apache vhosts, because you can install it into a new directory and get Apache to point to that new directory when you need it.
Yeah, can I just say also, you can still move a Joomla site 1.5 just like you can move 1.0 site.
Yeah.
You don't need to use the migrate every time you move a site.
Yeah, it's just to get your data into 1.5 format.
The template is the new 4.5.
This is
Default standard template.
This is
So
a new
they
template.
will change the
New template? Templates are not.
been
No.
installed, so that's why it's
Yeah.
This is 1.5.
Yeah. I did actually put the extra template there. We don't migrate templates because the template may not exist. In this case, I actually installed it. This would be the login of the old site. Yeah, isn't it PASX? So we've migrated our login details across. We've migrated them to them. Which is good. And we've got a,
That was proof that it wasn't just a screen grab.
yes. We're not faking it, kids. So we've got our template there. It is the default. Oh, because it hasn't been applied properly. Just switch it to the default.
Excuse me.
We found a bug.
If you backslide migrate, does that maintain the URL of your items?
Yes. So let's just try this out. We'll also notice that there's this ugly web links logo. We found when we did a migration that this never actually worked properly. Has anyone tried to use the menu icon option in Joomla 1.0?
Yeah.
Did it work?
No.
Now it works. So if you see all of a sudden disappearing, it's because we fixed something. So let's just go to our old 1.0 site because we like 1.0. And we'll just click on, the other thing to note with migration is that we also disable all of the modules and create a new menu module. Again, for the same reason that you may not have the module there anymore because you haven't installed it yet, obviously. So let's pick on something that will give me a really ugly looking link. This is a good one. So we've got a link here to a section.
We go to 9.
We can go to 9. Everyone's favourite news item. And if we have a look, we've got what looks like a really nice looking URL. If we go to the same point in our 1.5 site, wherever I moved to, so news, that's news, news item 1. We actually have a look up the top here at the URL. We can see that there's a large difference between the two URLs. It doesn't look like much to this, but if when you turn SEF on, which let's try SEF. No, we can do it. We can do the non-htaccess SEF, which would be cool. If we hit back, so now we've enabled SEF, and it still looks ugly. There we go. Still looks ugly. Why is it still looking ugly? Hang on. I'm looking at the wrong page. Yeah. Okay, so that didn't work. Anyway, let's move on to the backend migration. So this is where I'm trying to get to. What backend?
Refresh that last page. You needed to refresh the news.
Oh, is that what it was?
If you're using a third party SEF, is that going to break because of what you're showing us now?
we've tried to basically pick up the SEF from the SEF URL to SEF function in 1.0. So if it returns from that the correct URL, it shouldn't break. It will break any link that isn't in a menu. So everything that's in a menu, we've tried to migrate across. But if it's not in a menu, we can't migrate that across because we don't know where it comes from. It may not even exist.
And sorry, just taking a step back, can you have friendly URLs? Like, can you make up your own URL for a content mode?
You can in 1.5 you use the alias function,
Yeah.
and that'll be used in generating the SEF URL. The alias has to be unique within your category and your content item. Otherwise, it'll clash. Again, same deal with any other SEF solution. It's not the neatest solution. It won't solve the. If I only go to /Joomla, point to the default page, that's not going to work properly because we don't do that yet. But it will put in custom text in place if you need it as part of the alias. So this is the backlink plugin. We have 3 options available to us. It allows us to search for query string matches. So if we throw a query string that Joomla 1.5 doesn't recognize, the backlink plugin might recognize it from your 1.0 site and find the right page. It also does SEF. And if you haven't installed a custom third-party SEF plugin, it'll also attempt to use the legacy 1.0 SEF. And in testing, we've found that the legacy SEF will get you 90% hit for the right content item. And 10% of the time, it will just give you the home page because it can't find the old style SEF thing. So if we enable this, and we should be able to paste that there. And it's found the wrong item, just as I thought it might. But it's given us a content page. So what backlink migration about is still not breaking your site, but giving you something that doesn't.
So they're not going to get an error like a page not fixed.
Yeah, you're not going to get something like this, which is really ugly, and Google doesn't like you after that.
Which is really important.
Which is really important. But what you'll find is that the next time Google visits your site, it may hit that page and it will validate that page. But you'll also have noticed that, if we had enabled SEF in 1.0, we could have tried 1.0 SEF. But we didn't.
But the slash whatever links, we can use that too.
And so you'll notice that now if we have a look at this page, we've got an interesting looking error. But it's picked up the right SEF. That's a bug. The CSS is broken. Oh, it's because we haven't done htaccess. It is complaining. So let's just let's have 5 minutes. I've got 5 minutes to fix my site. I love live demo. Did I mention this? Yeah. So let's just enable our full SEF. Obviously, we've still got some bugs with SEF. I know where we have bugs. We do have issues with CTI-based hosting. You know how I mentioned earlier that there are problems with CTI-based hosting? SEF is one of them, now that I remember it. We do have some patches out there, but it's actually to deal with the fact that, let's refresh this. Yeah. We have issues with SEF-based hosting with the non-htaccess thing, where the CTI doesn't actually properly give us the information. So it tells us we're somewhere we're not.
But that being said, I would say 95% of people would use htaccess.
Yes.
So
the solution to this is to use the htaccess. We can also put in.
And what we just saw then wasn't a bug, that was just
That's
rename the htaccess.
Yeah. Once you rename the htaccess, CTI solutions will work. However,
What was the bug? Was the lack of CSS style?
yeah, the Article 12.
Should it look like that?
Article 1. It should look like this. And if we try a bit of old style content view 1, because we've got legacy SEF enabled with the htaccess, you can see that this is mostly working for some reason.
With an item ID?
You can put an item ID if you want to. And it just goes to the same place. Put in the wrong item ID and it still goes to the right place, but it doesn't have anything there to match that. What actually happens is it redirects it internally. So Joomla just sees that it's actually a proper comp content URL for 1.5. So the downside is that if you've got a third-party SEF, you're going to have to ask them to do a bit of work. Some of the SEFs I noticed also have lookup tables, so you can get in contact with them to provide backend-based solutions there. Basically, the idea is with 1.5 you can migrate. There are going to be pains. Use 1.5 for your new site. 1.1.14 is going to be next few weeks or so, I think, next month or so. So you can stay on 1.0.14 until everything is good. Test your site. Do not kill your live site, please. Do backups and just test things, and you should be in a happy place.
Good. Thank you very much, Sam.